It looks like President Trump's patience with Dr. Fauci, always correcting him on his nonsense, has finally run out, as we knew it would. This is after the doctor said, of course, more lives could have been saved from the coronavirus had the country been shut down a little bit earlier. Trump, of course, did not want to do that. Maybe because of his precious economy, stock market, the things that he was basically counting on to run for re-election. Now, his stock market crashed anyway, as the virus made its way all over the country, of course. And now we're in the position of having the most coronavirus cases out of any country, even with our lackluster testing, right? How most people have not even been tested, and that you already have to have been shown significant symptoms in order to get a test. And even in that circumstance, still not being able to get tested. All right. So now this factual statement from Dr. Fauci saying, hey, maybe we could have done a little bit better had we caught it soon. Had we acted on the information that we had sooner. But hey, it is what it is. Well, that was enough to trigger the baby in the White House. And so he took to Twitter because, of course, and reposted a message that said it was, quote, time to fire Fauci. Yeah. So now the message that Trump retweeted came from a former Republican congressional candidate. So this is somebody that took on Nancy Pelosi, and she got about 5% of the vote in California. So, I mean, loser. How do you lose to Nancy Pelosi? I guess you have to run as a Republican. Okay, anyway. So now Fauci, she says, is now saying that had Trump listened to the medical experts earlier, he could have saved more lives. Fauci was telling people on February 29th that there was nothing to worry about and posed no threat to the U.S. at large. Time to fire Fauci. So, by the way, the name of that congressional loser is Deanna Lorraine. And so, okay, well, hey, if you want to look her up and see how much of a loser she is, that's fine. You can do that. In reposting the message, Trump added, sorry, fake news. It's all on tape. I banned China long before people spoke up. Well, wait a minute here. Actually, the president did not ban China. Now, if he's referring to the travel restriction, okay, yes, you did a travel restriction, and that was fine. And look, let's be fair about this. Fauci disagreed with that. He said, I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of good, just doing that travel restriction alone. And actually, he'd be right. Even so, the president said, well, Fauci didn't agree with me. Yeah, not at first, but then said, okay, look, the travel restrictions, I guess it's not a bad idea, but really the reason that we could benefit from that is so it gives us time to prepare, right? Because it is going to come to America. And so we want to be prepared, and that'll buy us some time. Okay. And so look, on January 30th, Fauci told Alex Azar, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, that he and other medical professionals did actually support that travel restriction from China. But again, it wasn't enough. Experts said the limits were useful to buy time, and that time, again, would be necessary to prepare. The administration did not prepare. They sat on it for 3 months. They sat on it and did absolutely nothing. So they've essentially wasted the time that they bought. Okay. Now, at the end of February, advisors have made a list of measures that the administration could take to slow the spread of the virus. Things like school closures, sports and concert cancellations, stay-at-home orders, the stuff that we have right now. But Trump, again, did nothing until mid-March. All while publicly saying all sorts of misinformation. Oh, it's like the flu. It's not so bad. Everything's going to be fine. No, we don't need to shut down the economy. What are you talking about? And then, of course, mid-March, he shut everything down. All while publicly saying all sorts of misinformation. Again, right before then, and then suddenly saying, oh, right, okay, yes, it turns out this is kind of serious, so let's do something about it. And it got everywhere. It's a national disaster now. And the problem is that it's far greater than it should have been. Now the idiot, he's looking at firing Fauci, and opening the country back up soon. Why? What's the point of it? And what? It's because the precious stock market? Well, I don't care about the stock market. I don't care about any of that stuff. No, I care about human lives. And it's an incredibly stupid idea to open it back up too soon, because then what happens? People go out and they start spreading the disease. There's a second wave. More people die. The cycle starts all over again. But here's the thing, right? Trump hates two things: being wrong and people being disloyal. Pointing out how Trump is wrong is a great act of disloyalty. Another thing that bothers Trump to no end is, of course, the polling. Quinnipiac University poll last week found that 78% of Americans approve of Dr. Fauci's handling of the crisis, compared to 46% who approved the president's response. So they like Fauci, the American people do, and they trust him more than they trust Donald Trump. Well, that makes sense, because Trump's an idiot and Fauci is a professional. He's an expert. Even when, he sometimes even agrees with Donald Trump. So, but they trust him because he's right, and he is an expert. But here's the thing about Trump, again, that frustration eventually turns into rage. And it won't take long for him to start attacking Fauci on Twitter. You don't think it's going to happen? Oh, it'll happen. It's actually already begun. And so if he's, and the other reason too is, again, that poll number, he's going to try to discredit Fauci. And that's what he's doing right now in order to reverse those polling numbers so that people trust him more than they trust Fauci, and then they can get rid of him. And that's the thing. And once that happens, well, we lose another expert, all because of the baby in chief. Fun times. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.